Hi, guys. It's Kathy. I hope you're doing well. Bill's here. Everybody, Bill's here. That means we have to act freaking professional. Try. All right. So, I know she's not going to be here today. I already know that. I do. But I'm missing her a whole lot. So, we're going to spend today with Judge Wolf for Rebecca. We're not allowed to say that. Beck. We're going to spend today with Judge Wolf for Beck. Because we miss her so much. Maybe she'll come back soon. Not too soon. She has to take care of her stuff first. And that's fine. Everybody has stuff we have to take care of. So, I got the new... So, you know how I tell you guys, oh, I'm going to do this. And I try. But when it comes time to do this, then I tell you, well, I can't do this because of this, this. I told you I was getting fiber today. And I got it. And I don't know. 3 bars. I don't know how many bars I got with Comcast because I was wired. It wasn't wireless. Rebecca, throw the goat. Throw the goat. Throw the goat. I need throw the goat to come back. But we'll see. We'll see if this video plays. And if not, this will be a testing day. Let's see. I do not share my screen. Only I can watch it, but you guys will be able to hear it. She's just doing real life stuff, real life. There he is. There's Judge Wolf. I got the Chancery docket just like she likes it.
All right, good morning. We have 2 cases on the docket today. Call the first case.
Brian Tyler Rye versus Elizabeth Nicole Rye.
I shouldn't need to be wired. It's right there. I can wire. I shouldn't need to, though. I should be solid. Oh, gosh. 1 bar. 1 bar.
Morning. This is here.
They said they created a mesh in my house. So there are 0 dead spots. 0. The whole entire house and my whole entire yard outside. They said this was going to be so much faster than Comcast that I'm not going to be able to believe the difference.
Today on a hearing for a extension of a temporary restraining order that was issued by me last week, I think it was. And because of the nature of the statutes on a restraining order, they expire after 15 days. So I wanted to have a hearing, make sure whether or not there should or should not be an extension of that restraining order. So I am ready to hear this matter. Is there anything I know you two may or may not have talked about this case?
We do not, Your Honor. I do have a preliminary matter that I'd like to address with the court. After I reviewed the file and I reviewed what service packet my client received, it does not appear that petitioner's counsel or petitioner is in compliance with Rule 6503 of the Tennessee Rules of Civil Procedure.
In what regard?
There was no affidavit. There was no affidavit filed, and it's required when a restraining order is requested by this court. There was no affidavit filed by counsel as it relates to notice or lack thereof, nor was it alleged or even alluded to in the petition, Your Honor. And it's required by statute. It's not a discretionary type thing. It's mandated by statute. 6503 subsection 1.
You want to respond to that, counsel?
Your Honor, Ms. Higgins was personally served with the petition and the ex parte. My understanding of ex parte is their required notice parties as any other initiation of a court proceeding.
Let me have just a minute to pull up the rule.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Kelly on Facebook. He's looking.
So you're relying upon subsection B of 65.03, subsection 1B, where it says that the attorney pro se applicant can certify the writing efforts made to give notice of the reasons why it should not be required.
Yes, sir. 6503, and specifically, yes, sir. When authorized, the court may issue a temporary restraining order without written or oral notice to the adverse party or its attorney, only if subsection A is met, specific facts in an affidavit or verified complaint clearly show that immediate or irreparable injury, loss, or damage will result in the applicant before the adverse party can be heard in opposition. And subsection B, the appellate's attorney or pro se applicant certifies in writing efforts made to give notice and the reasons why it should not be required. And that is required prior to or at the time of the filing of the petition, not subsequent to and after the granting of the restraining order. And that's what these parties did. And there's still no 6503 affidavit or anything, again, that's alluded to as it relates to notice provided to my client prior to this restraining order being entered. And it is absolutely required by statute.
It is required under the rule, and I do find that the affidavit, or actually the sworn pleading, provided sufficient facts to satisfy the court that there was a need for a restraining order to be issued. But there is a requirement that the pleading itself set forth any efforts to give notice or reasons why it should not be required. Now, that may be a provision of the rule that's oftentimes ignored, but it is part of the rule, and therefore it would be application would have to meet that rule in order to be accepted. Now, the effect of that is that it would mean that the restraining order itself may be ineffective, may be defective. So we're here today, and it does not prevent this court from hearing sua sponte any pleadings or any evidence regarding any basis for modification on a temporary basis. Petition.
Well, if we're gonna, respectfully, Your Honor, if we're gonna argue why it should not be extended, my argument respectfully to the court is that it should never have been granted because petitioner was not in compliance with Rule 6503.
And the purpose of that subsection of the rule is to give notice to the opposing party so that they could contest the issue of whether or not a restraining order is warranted, correct?
It's not just to give notice, Your Honor. Respectfully, there's a huge checks and balances that 6503 protects the respondents more than anybody in a case where a petitioner is seeking an ex parte restraining order. It's to create a system of checks and balances to where that other party is either put on notice of, hey, I'm going up to the courthouse to file this petition because it absolutely affects your rights as it relates to your minor children. Or two, alternatively, it is absolutely telling the court, hey, we couldn't give this party notice because it would have posed a risk of imminent threat of harm or danger to the children. I'm submitting to the court that this restraining order, it should be null and void on its face because they weren't in compliance with Rule 6503. I mean, I've read the rule over and over, both last night and this morning.
I understand your argument. Excuse me for interrupting. I understand your argument that
Yes,
it
sir.
is null and void. My question then becomes, is there any reason that this court that cannot conduct a hearing today as to whether or not there should be any order entered? The allegations in the petition cause this court to be concerned about the safety and well-being of the minor children, or else there would not have been a restraining order issued to begin with. I understand your argument about the fact that the order that was entered may have been defective under the rule, and it may be null and void. But the question then becomes, because this matter is within the purview of the court, and it is here on a pleading that otherwise is a legitimate pleading in this court, then the court has the duty and the obligation to conduct a hearing for the best interest of the minor children. Now, that hearing can be conducted today, or it can be conducted one day next week,
Yes, sir.
if necessary, to give you adequate time, since your argument is that the restraining order should not have been issued. I can give you a hearing date of the 24th, of the 23rd, actually would be the 23rd of April. That would be next Wednesday, a week from today.
So here's my position. If we are going to proceed forward today, then I would submit to the court that the restraining order shouldn't be considered late. Whether we're arguing whether the restraining order should be extended, my position would be today, if we're going to go forward, that's not what we're arguing, because I'm saying my position to the court is that it should be null and void because of the statute and the fact that they're not in compliance with it should never been entered. So if we're going to go forward today, they would be under the burden of TCA 36-6-405, which specifically says in a proceeding, we would be looking at a modification of a temporary parenting plan. And that statute, it puts them at a very, very high burden of proof as to whether they can show immediate irreparable harm to the minor children to modify the temporary parenting plan. So if we're going to proceed forward, I would ask that we be put under that particular provision, because that would technically be the stance that we're in today.
And my point to the point that I'm trying to make is that if you believe that you need adequate time because of this restraining order issue, then I can reset you for one day next week, or
It's just a reminder, guys. It doesn't have to be perfect to be great.
we'll go forward to that standard. I would agree with you that if the restraining order is null and void, which I tend to agree that you're correct, because it didn't meet the criteria of Rule 65.03, then under those circumstances, we're here to.
Yo, it was a whole week. And that restraining order wasn't valid that whole week. And I'm sure, I'm thinking, and I don't know any statistics. The first week, the first few days someone has a restraining order put on them is probably, when they're most angry, right? So they're probably in the most danger the first week. That whole week, no restraining order.
Today on essentially the modification on a temporary basis of an existing parenting plan, which does require proof of immediate and irreparable harm and injury to the children.
That I'm prepared to go forward with today.
Are you prepared to go forward with that?
Yes, Your
All
Honor.
right, then we'll let you put on your proof.
I'd ask for the rule, Your Honor.
Rule has been requested. Anyone who's going to testify in this case must go outside of the courtroom and remain outside of the courtroom until you are called to testify. You're not to discuss the testimony of any other witness with anyone until you yourself have been called to testify. Counsel are under continuing duty to ensure that the rule is complied with. All right, so that we're clear, the court agrees with respondent counsel that the temporary restraining order is to be considered null and void based upon the fact that there was no compliance with Rule 65.03, subsection 1B, I think it is, that there was no effort made to notify the opposing party or demonstrate reasons why it should not be notified. So, Ms. Courier,
Yes, Your Honor.
are you ready to call your first witness?
Yes, Your Honor. I would like to call my client, Mr. Brian Tyler.
All right, Mr. Rye, come forward, raise your right hand, let's place you under oath.
Just so you know, we don't get an answer to this one, and I don't have an answer either. I thought you said security. Has anyone helped you with your crochet today? Yet. Has anyone helped you with your crochet yet? That's funny.
Yes. Officer Tomlinson, if you'll turn that podium so that it faces the witness stand, please.
Can you please state your name?
Brian Tyler.
And Mr. Rye, do you have children with Miss Higgins?
Yes, I do.
All right, how many children do you have? And what are their names
Mallory Ruff and Payson Ruff,
and their ages?
8 and 6.
Okay, and you were previously married to Ms. Higgins?
Correct.
Okay, and as a result of that divorce, was there a parenting plan entered?
Correct.
Yes, so what is that current parenting plan?
It's almost, no, it's 100% 50/50. Split decision also.
And overall, prior to recently, how would you say that parenting plan has been going?
For the most part, we've been fairly simple.
Has anything recently changed that's caused you concern?
With the parenting plan,
Yes.
parenting plan, no.
Okay. Have you been informed of anything concerning, regarding what happens with your children while they're at Ms. Higgins' home?
Yes.
Can you elaborate on that?
Objection, failure to lay a foundation as to how he would have this knowledge.
Sustained.
Have either one of your children told you anything that would,
Objection to the leading.
have you
Your
been,
objection is to leading.
Yes, sir.
Sustained, don't lead the witness.
have you become aware of any information that's caused you concern?
Yes.
And how did you become aware of that?
It was brought to me by my oldest daughter.
And what was the nature of, the conversations you've had with your oldest daughter?
I want examples of what she said. Excessive drinking.
Objections as to the hearsay.
Well, there is an exception to hearsay regarding the information obtained from minor children of any sort of abuse, physical or sexual abuse. So I have to hear what the statement is to be able to determine whether it meets that exception or not. So I'm the trier of fact. So if it meets that exception, then it may be allowable. If it doesn't meet that exception, it may not be.
Yes, sir.
Ask the question again.
What was the nature of the conversations that you had with your oldest daughter?
So excessive drinking in a vehicle also. Being yelled and screamed at. Demoralized. That's the main points of it.
Okay, and who was the main perpetrator of this?
Would be Brandon Bradford and Elizabeth Higgins.
Okay, and who is Mr. Bradford to the children?
That would be, I would call him a stepfather because they're not married.
And has there been anything that you personally noticed?
Personally, yes, I've seen alcohol in the vehicles here, pick up and drop.
And what is your impression of your children's demeanor when it comes to returning to the mother's home?
Returning, they're always seen, most of the time seen kind of depressed.
Your Honor, I'm going to object to his use of the term depressed. I think he can describe what he sees, but using that term, I'm going to object.
All right, the objection is to the form of the question, or actually to the form of his answer. You can describe what you observe about your children because that's a sensory perception that you yourself can see and relate to. But you were describing it as depressed, and that is a value term. In other words, that's a judgment that you're making, a subjective judgment that you're making regarding that. So you can describe what you observe, but you can't describe it as being depressed or not. So I sustain the objection as to the form of the answer.
Okay, so we'll replace that.
Okay. Oftentimes they would be very clingy to me and their stepmother, crying, begging not to go back.
And about how long would you say this behavior has been going on?
Amend that. I mean, in your head. I'm canceling that, the address, the P.O. box. Now it's gone. I'm canceling it. Don't use it anymore. They are just, it took 3 months to get something from France. It took never to get something from Australia. Never. It's never going to arrive. It took, oh my gosh, heartache and headache from Texas to get to my P.O. box. So, yeah, no more P.O. box.
For a while, at least over a year, but it's becoming more and more prevalent.
Okay. So what has brought you to this point to feel the need to contact my office and have our office file this petition for modification?
Okay, drop off, the last drop off we had, Mr. Bradford was drinking in a side by side while dropping the kids off. And then Caitlin came to us Sunday saying she's fearful of going back.
An actual P.O.
So
box.
do you believe it is in the children's best interest for temporary modification of the parenting plan to occur? Do you
Done.
think they're in immediate threat of harm if the parenting plan is not modified?
Yes,
Are you concerned what's going to happen to your children?
yes.
I have nothing further from this witness, Your Honor.
That was fun.
And do you, hold on a second, you don't get off that easy, so you have questions for this witness?
Okay.
Oh, well, you do get off that easy,
Okay.
thank you, you may sit down. You may call your next witness.
I would like to call Ms. Bailey, right?
You come around, please raise your right hand and face our clerk.
solemnly swear the testimony about to give the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, I do. Thank you very much.
Scoot right up there to that microphone and speak clearly into it, please.
Yes, sir. Can you please state your name? Bailey Wayne Rye. And Ms. Rye, how do you know Mr. Brian Rye? He's my husband. And have you interacted with the children he has with Ms. Higgins? Yes, since 2022. Okay. How would you describe your relationship with the children? They're my mini shadows. We're very close. So are you pretty familiar with the interactions that Mr. Rye currently has with Ms. Higgins, the children's mother? Yes. How would you describe your opinion of their interactions and their co-parenting? For the most part, they're completely civil. I mean, any discretions, they try and sort them out. Okay. Has something recently changed that has caused you concern? Yes. And how were you made aware of this? At our last custody exchange where we picked up the girls, we noticed that Brandon had been drinking and driving again, and then Caitlin brought it to our attention Sunday. Things that were going on within the home, she brought it to my attention. And so you personally had a conversation with Caitlin? Yes, ma'am. Okay. And what is your opinion of the children's demeanor with regards to returning to their mothers? Caitlin doesn't want to. She is scared.
As to the hearsay.
Sustained.
Caitlin is scared to go home.
You can't. When I sustain an objection to a question, that means you can't answer it. So they can ask you another question, but you can answer that one. But the one that I sustained the objection to, you cannot answer.
Yes, sir. Understood. My apologies.
That's all right.
Is there anything you personally noticed with the children's moods or any behavior changes? Yes. Would you be able to elaborate on that? Caitlin has become more distant to her mother.
Objection as to how she would have this knowledge, Your Honor.
I'll sustain the objection unless you lay a foundation to show what knowledge or how she would obtain that knowledge.
Have you had any conversations with Caitlin about the concerns she has with returning to her mother? Yes, multiple. Okay, and what is your opinion of the nature of those conversations? They come off very true. And Caitlin, typically she wouldn't bring stuff like that up. So for her to bring it to her attention, and this is the second time she's brought it to my attention. The first one was back in February after her well child visit, where I had a conversation with Ms. Higgins about it. After the well child that her and I both attended for the children. And then I explained to Caitlin her wishes weren't able to be done due to she couldn't just stay with us full time. We couldn't keep her from
Just
going
for the
back.
hearsay, she's getting in at back door. She's saying what the child told her.
Sustain the objection.
No back doors here, people.
So you tried to bring up some of these concerns to Ms. Higgins? Yes, multiple times. And what has been the response to those conversations?
CJ, I really can't leave that message up until I've tested it. I'll let you know. You can't really just say it's strong. I'll have to test that to make sure it's what you say it is. I mean, this is people need to trust people in chat. I need to test this stuff.
To the alcohol or the aggression within the house? The alcohol, the last time we had an encounter with it, she told us that the alcohol in the vehicle was from last night, that it's not that big of a deal and it's none of our concern. The terms of her and Caitlin's relationship, we discussed it. I told her Caitlin's concerns and she said that Caitlin was being sensitive. It's not that big of a deal. She's just mad that she's being held accountable and said that Caitlin was over exaggerating. Do you think, is it in your opinion that the current parenting plan is no longer in the minor children's best interest?
Objection, that's not for her to decide today.
Sustain the objection. That is the ultimate issue for this court, and her opinion is not relevant on the issue since she is not one of the biological parents.
Do you think that there is a safety concern?
How mad is this judge right now? How angry is he that this whole week went by with no protection order? Like, he's not saying anything right now, but sitting there listening to testimony, things like that. How mad is he? And what's going to happen? Is he going to get someone for this?
With the children returning to their mother's home? Yes. I have nothing further, Your Honor.
Cash, Christinus, how do you pronounce your last name?
Christinus, but Cash is fine. It's hyphenated and it's
Doesn't
easier.
matter to me.
Yes, sir.
I'll call you whatever you want me to call you, but
Yes, sir.
Christinus. All right, Ms. Christinus, do you wish to ask questions of this
I
witness?
do not, Your Honor.
Thank you, ma'am. You may step down. You can have a seat in the courtroom now.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Ms. Courier, do you have any other witnesses?
Your Honor, I'm not sure how you want to address this. The child is present. I'm not sure if you would like to hear from her in a private setting, but she is where the nature of my client's concerns have come from, so it may be beneficial to hear from
How old
her.
is the child?
She is
8.
8.
Well, if you're calling a child of 8 years of age as a fact witness, then there are two options. One of them, you can put her on the stand and let her testify in open court. The other is that you can, if both sides agree, you can have the testimony offered in chambers with counsel for the parties and the court staff, the only ones who would be present. We don't have a court reporter here, so it would just be the two lawyers for the parties, me and the court staff. The clerk would be present during that, but it requires the consent of both parties for that. You want to talk it over with, you have any opposition to this child testifying in chambers?
Your Honor, I guess this is completely at Your Honor's discretion. I would prefer us to not put this little 8-year-old girl
I
through a
would prefer
traumatic
that too.
situation. For the court to hear the remainder of the proof and decide if the child's testimony is going to be necessary. This is something she'll never forget for the rest of her life, being called to do this. But if the court is going to go ahead and take her up in the order that the petitioners are preferring to do, I am absolutely in agreement to being in chambers.
Do you have any other proof other than this child?
Oh, no, Your Honor.
Are you gonna offer any evidence or proof?
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna hear their proof before I make a decision on whether or not I'm gonna hear from this child. It is unfortunate that an 8-year-old child is required to come in and testify in a hearing. But based on the circumstances, it may be necessary to hear from the child in order to determine whether there's any significant threat to the child's well-being. But at this point,
No.
the court is required to consider the wishes of a child of 12 years of age or older. The greater weight to be given to the preferences of an older child. An 8-year-old child is one of those gray areas where the question of whether or not the child understands the right to tell the truth under oath and so forth.
How is an 8-year-old child part of that gray area? No, they're not. No, they can't. They don't know. They really have no idea. I mean, I agree. I agree. They don't get heard, especially by the judge. But there has to be a different way than to make the child get on the stand. There has to be. No, that cat is a meanie head. No, that cat, he's my favorite. Lafayette is my favorite. He gets everything. But I'm not petting him right now. I'm working. He needs to learn I'm working.
Becomes an issue. So I'm going to hear from the respondent's proof, and then I'm not foreclosing you to reopen your proof to have this child offered, but I'm going to hear what other evidence there is first. All right? Okay. Ms. Christine, if you wish to put on your proof, I'll allow you to do that now.
Yes, Your Honor. I'd like to call my client, please.
Ms. Higgins, if you'll come around, please.
Swear the testimony about the truth, the whole truth, and the truth.
Yes.
That is much better. Yes.
State your name before.
Elizabeth Nicole Higgins.
Oh,
Ms.
no.
Higgins, you are the mother of Mallory, and you're gonna have to say her name for me. Caitlin. Okay, I say it wrong every single time. And where do they attend school?
At Tennessee Ridge Elementary.
Okay, and what grades are they in?
Caitlin is in 3rd, Mallory is in pre-K.
Okay, and where are you employed?
At Tennessee Ridge Elementary.
And what do you do there?
I saw an 8-year-old on the stand the other day, and I didn't play the clip because it had me crying. The mom was in jail. I think she murdered somebody. I think he was a witness. He's on the stand in front of everybody, but she has been in jail so long for this. It took so long to get this court case going that the prosecutor, I think, was like, how long has it been since you've seen your mommy? I don't know, a long, long time. Do you remember your mommy? Yes, I remember your mommy. Is your mommy in the courtroom here today? No, she's not. She can't be in the courtroom. She's not. And she was sitting right there. She was sitting right there at the defense table. Why can't your mommy be in the courtroom? My mommy's in jail. And then he had like a straight face the whole time he was talking. But as soon as he said, my mommy's in jail, that was it. He started crying, and then I started crying. So I could never play that here, but it was so bad. It was that poor kid.
Teacher's assistant.
Okay, and how long have you been employed there?
Almost 3 years.
And what grades do you work with at that school?
Mainly kindergarten and first, but I go around to all the grades, check on teachers, and just whatever they need to do.
So you're around your children every day while they're at school?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And where do you live?
In Waverly.
And who do you live with?
Brandon Bradford.
Brandon Bradford.
Yes, ma'am.
And who is Brandon Bradford?
He's my boyfriend.
And how long had you all been in a relationship?
3.5 years.
Okay. And do you have any other kids other than the minor children at issue in this cause of action?
Yes, I have a 5-month-old with Brendan.
Okay, and what is her name?
Bradley Bradford.
Okay, are you breastfeeding her?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So do you drink while during the past 5 months that you've been breastfeeding?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And where does Brandon work?
He works at Palmer's Contractors in Camden.
What does he do?
He is in the Iron Workers Union
And how long has he been employed at that current position?
for about 2 years.
Okay. And you were served with a petition that was filed in this matter on or around April the 7th, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And on April the 7th, when this petition was filed, you and Mr. Wright, you all share a week on week off with your 2 minor girls, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And when this petition was filed, whose parenting time was it?
It was
My internet keeps going so low. I'm wired now. If you guys notice a total freeze, let me know. And the hard part is the court, the way it's recorded, their stuff is jerky. Like it lags a bit. So when she walks over here, you'll see her here, and then whoop, you'll see her over here. But if you guys notice anything, like I'm freezing, which I really am. It's freezing in here today. If you notice me freezing, just let me know because I can't see what you see.
was my week.
And what day of the week was that on?
It was on a Monday.
Okay. Had you you get them on Fridays, correct?
Yes.
So you had them from Friday to Monday?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay. And so you all had an exchange on Friday.
Yes.
Did you pick them up from Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
Okay. You did?
Yes.
And was anybody in the vehicle with you?
Just my 5-month-old.
So Mr. Brandon wasn't even in the vehicle, correct?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And when you were served with this petition or found out about this petition, tell the court about that incident, what happened.
I went to their house to just get the
To
kids.
whose house?
I went to Brian's house to get the kids softball uniforms because our youngest Mallory had a game that night. And at the exchange, they didn't have their uniforms. So we agreed that I would go give them some point and have them for their games. So I went to his house to just simply pick up softball uniforms to go back to my house to get our youngest ready for her softball game.
Did you have the girls with you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And Brian approached my vehicle with his mother and Bailey and wanted them to get out of the vehicle to go inside the house to see what their Mimi, Bailey's mom, had got them from vacation. And I said, that's fine. Just make it quick. We have to get ready for softball. He took the kids in the house and his mother is the one that handed me the paperwork.
And when she handed you the paperwork, what did she say to you?
She said nothing.
She didn't say to you, we're taking the children from you.
No, that I immediately looked at the paper and I said, what is this about? She handed it to me, walked away. And that's when Bailey, who was still standing at my vehicle, said, we're taking the kids.
So Mr. Ryan's wife said that to you.
Yes.
Could you still visibly see the 2 girls
No, they were in his house at this point.
before you left that or pulled out of the driveway that day? Were you able to see the girls?
Yes.
And what were their reactions?
They were standing in his doorway crying because they didn't know why they couldn't go back to their mom, because in their minds, we were just getting softball uniforms and we were going back home to get ready for softball.
Okay. And this was on a Monday.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So they go to school where you go to school, or they had school the following day.
I went to Erin Elementary School because at the time I didn't know, or the next day I actually didn't go to work.
Okay. And
So
what
I
about,
don't know if they were there or not.
and what about Wednesday?
On Wednesday, I went to the other elementary school to work because I wanted to just have a day where I didn't have to worry about things. So I went to the other elementary school because I didn't know how they were going to react with the situation.
And you hadn't yet met with me yet either, correct?
Correct.
I think what they're saying, why she went to the school, why she took a day off, why she went to the school. She worked, I think she's a teacher or something. She works at the school where her children go to school at, and she's not allowed to see her children.
And so you didn't know what kind of the restrictions were as it relates to the restraining order, correct?
Correct. I thought that I wasn't allowed to be around them, period,
Okay. What day were they brought back to school?
on Thursday.
And did you see your girls that day?
Yes.
And how did they act to you? You can't tell me what they said, but tell me what they did.
Immediately hugged me, kissed me, and it was just, I'll miss my mama. I don't know what happened.
Did they say that to you?
Yes,
Okay. Did they make any comments to you as to going back to your house?
yes. Mallory, our youngest, was like, am I going home with you today? Can I go home with you today? And I just said, in a couple of days, we'll see.
Okay. And were they at school any other time that week?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And is your school currently taking TCAP testing?
Yes, ma'am.
And as we sit here today, is your little third grader that's out in the hallway, is she supposed to be taking her little TCAP testing right now?
Yes, ma'am.
Was she at school yesterday and did she take it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the allegations that have been made in this petition, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Does your boyfriend or Brandon, does he drink alcohol?
Yes, he does.
Okay, and what is his level of drinking? Describe to the court the life in a day in the life of you guys.
Whenever he gets home from work, he has a couple beers, just a normal de-stressing from the day
Okay, and what time does he usually get home from work?
at 4:00.
Okay, and do you cook dinner? Does he cook dinner? Do y'all cook dinner together?
It just depends. Some nights I might cook, some nights he might cook. If he's grilling, he will cook. It just depends on if I'm feeding our baby, whether he cooks or I cook.
Okay, and what time do you all usually go to bed? Do you go to bed together? What does that look like?
Yes, we give the kids baths about 7:00. They are in the bed at 7:30. We stay up a little bit later and watch TV, and then we are normally in bed at 9:30 to 10.
Okay, sure. So from the time he gets home at 4 to the time he goes to bed at 9:30 or 10, would you say that he gets intoxicated at all during the week?
Absolutely not.
Okay, what about your weekends?
On the weekends, he might have a couple more if we're just at the house. But if we go anywhere out to eat or anything, if he does consume any alcohol, then obviously I'm the one that drives home. And if he's had any alcohol before we go out to eat, I'm the one that drives there.
Okay, to your knowledge, has Mr. Brandon Bradford ever had a DUI charge?
No, ma'am.
Any sort of charge related to alcohol?
He had an open container ticket about 2 years ago, and our children were not present.
Okay, and so you have heard testimony today provided by the petitioners that Mr. Brandon Bradford drinks and essentially drives your children around a vehicle. Is that true?
No, ma'am.
Okay, tell the court what if anything happens.
If anything, it might have just been a beer left over from when we were just at the house, and it was simply just left from a long time ago. He does not ever drink and drive, especially with our children.
Okay. What is the relationship between Mr. Bradford and the girls?
He is a dad.
What do they call him?
They call him Daddy Brandon.
And how long have they called him that?
About 2 months into our relationship.
Okay, and they also call Mr. Rye's wife, they refer to her as a parental type figure as well, correct?
Yes.
What do they call her?
They call her mommy.
Okay, and so for the most part, how would you describe
Jojo.
their relationship with Brandon, the girls' relationship?
He's a dad to them when they're at our house. He goes outside, plays softball with them. He does baths if he needs to. He takes care of them. Anything that they need when they're there. He's their other parent when they're at our house.
Does he go to their activities?
Yes.
Does he attend their school activities?
Yes.
And does he work with them with their homework?
Yes.
Describe that to the court.
Recently, Caitlin has been struggling with her ELA, and in the afternoons, he has made her pick out a book that she enjoys to read, and he has come up with his own questions as like a little fake test to ask her after she's read the books.
Okay. At any time at any point in time that you've ever had Mr. Bradford around your girls, what kind of situation is it if the girls get in trouble?
If the girls get in trouble, I'm the one that gets onto them. If I have said it multiple times, then he will say, hey, what did your mama tell you? Never once has he yelled his voice at them or even thought about getting onto them unless I get onto them first.
Okay. And has Mr. Bradford ever spanked the children?
No more than just a little pop on their leg saying to get
That
their
means
attention.
yes, he
Okay.
has.
So do you have any idea of what the petitioners are referring to as it relates to demeaning or being mentally abusive or psychologically abusive to your minor children?
No, ma'am.
Are you adamant that hasn't ever happened?
No, it has never happened.
And is he psychologically or mentally or verbally abusive to you?
Absolutely.
What is your relationship like with him?
Very happy. We've been together for 3.5 years. He's never for 1 second raised his voice at me. He's never raised his hands at me. We have a normal, healthy relationship.
Okay. So do you have any idea what the petitioners are speaking of as it relates to there being some sort of volatile relationship between you and Mr. Bradford?
No, ma'am, I have no idea.
Have the police ever been called to your home?
Nope.
Any domestic violence issues? And have you ever been taken to the hospital because you got beat up real bad by Mr. Bradford?
No, ma'am.
DCS ever come to your house and said, hey, we've had reports that he's beating up the kids?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And one thing I also wanted to ask you, since this petition was filed, you have a little 5-month-old in your house, don't you?
Correct.
Has the Department of Children's Services contacted you and said that somebody's reported to them that there is a volatile relationship and a bunch of alcoholics hanging out over there taking care of a 5-month-old?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And so tell the court about what you heard the petitioners say as it relates to Caislin's recent behaviors. Have you seen some sort of changes in Caislin lately as it relates to her behaviors? From your perspective.
From my perspective as her mother, she does seem very upset about things. She's only 8 years old. She witnessed me and their father being together. She has witnessed everything. So in her mind, she knows what it's like to have mom and dad. And then now she has another mom and another dad. And to her knowledge, she's just very confused.
Have there been times, and I'm not asking you to tell me what she says, have there been times when she's come to you and said that things were going on at their house that she wasn't happy with?
Absolutely.
And did you run up to the court and make a bunch of false allegations against the father or Bailey as a result of any statements made to you by Caislin?
No, ma'am.
Do you believe that it would have been appropriate at that point in time for you to have done something to get dad out of her life because she made these statements to you?
Correct. I would not have done that.
What would you have done?
I would have contacted him and said, hey, our 8-month-old said these things.
Or 8-year-old?
Yeah. Are they true or not?
And have you done that in the past?
I have. There's been times where she comes back to us and she says things because she's 8 years old. She doesn't understand certain situations. And she's come to us and said, hey, when I was at my daddy's, this happened. Or I don't want to do this, or I don't want to do that. And I just say, well, you have to go to your daddy's. It'll be all right. And then we just try to help her through whatever situation she has.
So tell the court, because there was some discussion or allegations in the petition filed by the petitioners that relates to Caislin needing some therapy. Tell the court about how that issue came about. And when.
She's seen it all. She's been there from day one of our divorce, us splitting up everything. So I had suggested that one of our school counselors, we have two. We have a Tennessee Voices that come to our schools on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And then we have a regular guidance counselor that's there on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And I went to both of them and said, hey, when you get time, if you could just do a pop-in visit with her, I feel like she could really benefit from that.
And when did you do that?
Just a couple months ago.
And when you did that, did you discuss that at the issue of therapy with the father?
Yes.
And did you contact him and tell him, hey, I've done this, or I'm going to do this?
Yes.
Yes, you did?
Yes.
And what was his response?
He said it was a good idea that we should do that.
Other than that particular discussion between you and father, have you all ever had any other discussions regarding getting Caislin into therapy?
No.
Never?
Never.
They've never reached out to you and said, we want to put the kids in therapy, and you said, no, I don't think that's a good idea. That never happened?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Have you ever been charged with a DUI or driving under the influence or any sort of alcohol-related type violation of the law?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Have you ever been charged with any crime whatsoever?
Just a seatbelt ticket.
Okay. So recently in February of 2025, was there some discussion? How do you and Bailey and Miss Ryan and Father, how do you all usually correspond with one another?
Through a text message.
You all usually correspond through text message?
Yes, I have his phone number, which I think it's just an app phone number. And then I have her personal cell phone number.
Okay. And did you all recently have conversations regarding your all's relationship and how that was going? And when I say relationship, I mean the co-parenting type relationship.
Yes, after the kids' pageants in February
Of 2025?
Yes, ma'am.
What, 45 days ago?
Yes.
Approximate?
I went to eat with them for lunch after the girls'
Went
pageant.
to eat with whom?
With Tyler and Bailey.
You by yourself?
Yes,
Okay.
with my other daughter, Bradley,
Okay.
and the kids.
Okay.
We all went out to eat lunch together, and the kids wanted me to come to lunch with them. And after we left lunch, Tyler contacted me and wanted to thank me about how great of a mom that I am for them.
Okay. I'm going to hand you a document and ask you to identify it.
This document changed my mind.
Yes, ma'am.
Are these the text messages that you, how did he contact you that day?
He texted me.
And is this the text message, or is this the string of text messages that he sent you?
Yes.
And go to his section, please. Did he say he had concerns about you drinking alcohol around the kids?
No, ma'am.
About you being an alcoholic or being verbally or psychologically abusive to them?
No, ma'am.
Did he say anything about Brandon doing those things?
No, ma'am.
In fact, he said the opposite, didn't he?
Exactly.
What did he say? Read that to the court.
This first message is what Bailey had sent me.
Miss Wright, his wife?
Yes.
Okay.
He said, "You are and always will be their mama, and I'm proud to have you as their mother and do appreciate all you do. You always have done right by them and taken great care of them, and it's nice knowing Brendan's there for you and them. Like I said, I honestly feel like me and Brendan could be friends."
Oh my gosh, I got almost this exact same message from my ex once, except there was a whole lot of knots in there. Not. Not.
Him and I could maybe go together with Faceline and get her back into hunting. Who knows? I just want the girls to be happy and to know that there's no choosing, that they have all of us whenever, and then it cut off.
Okay, some people are confused, and I know why. Last week, these two were in front of this judge for a protection order. And mom lost custody last week. Dad got custody, even though mom goes to the same school that the kids do. She's not allowed to be anywhere near her kids. I don't know if it's the boyfriend that did something, or if it's mom that did something, or both. My guess is it's both that they presented last week. I don't think mom was there at the hearing at all, because they served her when she went to drop. She took the kids to dad's house to go get some soccer uniforms or baseball uniforms or whatever, and they served her there. And then they said, you can't have your kids back. Your kids aren't coming back outside. So I don't think she was there at the protection hearing last week. So because she wasn't there, this is a follow-up hearing. I can't remember the technical reason the judge said at the beginning. But anyway, this is 1 week later, and she is here this time. And the protection order that went into effect last week wasn't even legal because they forgot to do some technicality. They forgot to include an affidavit. There was no affidavit. By law, there has to be an affidavit. So they didn't even want to have this hearing today because this hearing is going over the details of the protection order from last week, which is null and void because they didn't have an affidavit. So there is no protection order. So they're doing this hearing anyway for I don't know what he said, 128B or whatever the numbers were. I don't know what it means. I don't know why. And the judge is going to decide from this, what's going on with this protection order. And this email or text chain that she's reading right now, unbelievable. The father is just praising her boyfriend about how great he is with the children and everything. So we're gonna see what happens at the end because of what's going on today.
And what was your response to him?
My response was, it doesn't have the whole thing, but I just said, that she doesn't want to go hunting with him. I think that she thinks that that's just y'all's thing and she doesn't want to upset you if she does go with him about taking her hunting.
Okay, and you said that Miss Wright reached out to you that day as well.
Yes,
correct?
she did.
What did she say to you?
She said, "You'd be amazed at how many compliments we get for it and the impact that it has on the girls. I want to apologize. Also, I know in the past that you felt like I have overstepped. Me as a mom trying to imagine how that feels, I'm really sorry that I have ever stepped on your toes when it comes to the girls. I hope you know and see how much I love them and just want the absolute best for them. I live and breathe for them the same way I do for my own biological children. But I'm also very thankful for all the work and effort you do for not only them, but for the community and co-parenting as well. Everything that comes with our lives we have."
I can't prove it, but the stepmom makes them call her, I can't remember her name, pretend her name is Amy, Mama Amy. So the kids call her Mama Amy.
That's what I'm getting at is thank you. And I'm very appreciative of you and all that you do and Brendan, both for the girls. Y'all are more than just parents.
Well, I'd like to submit those as an exhibit, please.
Look at his,
I'm gonna object to the use of this. There is no distinction of who sent what, dates, full context of the conversations.
My client's identified.
she's identified the conversations being text messages between your client, his wife, and her. And as far as the timing of it, she's indicated that it was after the meal that they shared in February, so I overrule the objection.
And the judge just heard the whole thing. Why are you objecting now? Come on, do better.
You heard Ms. Wright testify that they've reached out to you before and said, we're concerned that Brandon's an alcoholic and he's being abusive to the children. Is that true?
No,
Has she ever reached out to you and had a conversation with you about that they were concerned that Brandon posed a risk of harm or danger to the children?
no, ma'am.
Ever?
No.
You've never had that conversation with her?
No.
Have you ever had that conversation with her father?
No.
Have they ever said, we think he's a risk of harm or danger to the children and this is why, these are our concerns?
No.
If they had done that, would you have listened?
Absolutely.
Would you, if it were true, would you have done something about it?
Absolutely.
But that's never happened, has it?
No.
Have they ever approached you and said that you posed a risk of harm or danger to your children?
No.
Has she ever called you and said, I have concerns?
No.
Okay. Has Mr. Wright ever contacted you and said, I have concerns?
No.
Okay. Those are my questions, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Courier, do you have questions for the witness?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you, ma'am. You may step down. Ms. Christina, do you have any other witnesses?
Yes, sir. I would like to call.
Yes, I believe that it's either the boyfriend or the mom right here that that the dad and his girlfriend have created accusations against.
Hold on, I got my list.
Emily Moore, she's out in the hall.
All right.
Becca would have loved this trial. She would have.
Or raise your right hand and be placed under oath.
Do solemnly swear the testimony about the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
You come around and have a seat, please.
Good job, JK.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hi, good morning. Please state your name for the court.
Emily Moore.
Ms. Moore, where are you employed?
I'm employed at Tennessee Ridge Elementary School.
And what is your position there?
Assistant principal and librarian.
Okay, how long have you been employed there?
In that school 1 year.
Okay, so how long have you known my client?
I have known her since she was in middle school, but on a professional level, I've known her this year.
Okay, and so do you see her during the weekdays? How often do you see her during the weekdays interact with other people's children?
As assistant principal, I am in charge of the parapros of our school. So we have 5 general ed aides and we have 5 special ed aides, and she works directly underneath my supervision.
Okay, and how often do you see her on a daily basis?
Every day.
How often every day?
Because our classes are so small, I do have library, and she is the one aide who works with all grades because of her skills. And so she has her classes in my library, and I would say out of a day, 3 to 4 hours. That's actually Monday through Friday. And then on certain days, if I need to step out, I will call her to be my replacement.
Have you been involved with, you have knowledge as to why you're here today, correct?
Yes,
And I appreciate you being here because I know you have TCAP testing going on right now, so I'll try to be fast. Do you have knowledge as to why you're here today?
Yes.
And have you been approached by Mr. and Mrs. Rice since they filed this petition?
Not for me, no.
Not you directly?
No.
Do you have knowledge as to whether they've come up to the school?
Yes.
Okay, so you know what allegations they're making against my client, Ms. Higgins, correct?
Not in great detail, but yes, I do.
Okay. And at any point in time, at any day over the past year, let's just say that you've known her and you've seen her at school interact with other people's children, have you ever had concerns that she was a threat of harm or danger to other people's children? We'll start there.
No, absolutely not.
Have you ever seen her intoxicated during the day?
No.
Have you ever believed that she was under the influence of any mind-altering substance
No.
during the day at work?
No.
Have you ever seen her be inappropriate at any point in time with her own children? Okay. Have you seen her interact with her children?
Yes.
What's their relationship like that you've seen?
Typical mother. Kids, whenever they see her in the hallway, that's mom, they might say hi. If she's with another group of kids, she'll acknowledge them and send them on her way where she can do her job. But never has it been something that I've ever been.
From what you've seen and observed, do you believe she meets all their needs?
Yes.
Have you ever had any concerns that they were in threat of harm or danger while in the care of their mother? Do you know her husband, Brandon?
I know of him. We happen to have the same last name, and that whenever she first told me about him, I was seeing if we were related of any way, but not that I'm aware of.
And you've known her, you said, since middle school.
Yes.
And so have you ever known or had reason to believe that she would be a threat of harm or danger to her children or anybody else's children?
Absolutely not.
Do you believe that she would ever have her children around anybody that would be a threat of harm or danger to
I
them?
can't see that.
You believe she's a good mother?
I do.
Thank you. I appreciate you being here.
You're welcome.
You may cross-examine, Ms. Carter.
So, I believe you just testified, you have never personally been around Miss Higgins' boyfriend?
No. Well, I actually am in the process of building a house, and it happens to be on Halls Creek Road. And the other day they stopped in just to tour the house, just a regular conversation. It was just the 2 of them and a baby. And other than that, no.
So what kind of interactions have you had with Miss Higgins and the children outside of school?
Other than seeing them maybe in town, at the grocery store, something like that, nothing.
So do you have any personal knowledge of what actually goes on in Miss Higgins' household?
Other than her, just us working together, we're a very small school, and if there was something going on, we usually know the other dramas of people's lives. And so she's never said anything in the year that we've worked together inappropriate about her relationship, or if you're fighting with your husband, we do that often. I've never heard anything like that.
Okay. That answer, no. I mean, yes, people do go into their jobs and they blither and blather about their home lives all the time, but a lot of people don't, especially if it's bad. They don't go into work and talk about it, because the people at work would never understand.
You redirect?
Just really quick. And that's one of the questions I was kind of going to ask you. I'm glad she kind of did this. I'm from Murfreesboro, big metropolis. I'm just kidding. But this seems like a small town. And how long have you lived here?
It doesn't just seem like a small town. It is a small
I think it's an Irish town.
I grew up here, so I can say that. Yeah.
It was a great job.
I've moved into this county in '93. I've been teaching the school system for over 25 years. I had Tyler in class. I've had Nikki in class. I've probably much have everybody.
So does everybody know everybody's business in this town?
I would honestly, that's a problem. Anytime that I'm ever called into court, they usually like the family you've had with everybody.
Sure.
You can go on. So yes, it is a very small town. Everybody knows, or hears. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's always true, but there's usually some type of seed that somebody is floating around.
Based on having lived here that long and having known my client that long, have you ever had any concerns with her being a danger to anyone?
No, not at all.
Have you ever heard any rumors about Mr. Brandon being a danger to anyone?
No.
And you feel like that if there was some sort of volatile relationship between them, or she was being abused by him, or if the children were being abused, do you feel like you would know?
I definitely think that we would have some type of insight just because it is a small town.
Has that ever even been alluded to? Has that ever even been
Never.
a bleep on your radar?
Never.
All right, those are my questions, Your Honor.
You recross. Thank you, ma'am. You may step down and you may stay, or you may go and do your job. So,
Thank you very much.
any other witnesses?
No, sir.
All right, they have rested their proof. I will tell you that, in my opinion, it is
I will
not
cut her.
going to be necessary for this court to hear from the minor child. And I don't make that decision lightly, but the fact of the matter is that it seems to me that the main issue in this case is the alcohol consumption, or the alleged alcohol consumption that's taking place. This indication that I've been given on this text messages, that's exactly the kind of relationship that this court often encourages, or always encourages, and always suggests to people that you try to have. Even Mr. Rye was talking about the parenting plan had worked well and so forth. Minor children are put in the middle of a divorce and then introduced to new parties on both sides, calling them Daddy Brandon, or calling Miss Rye Mommy and so forth. That can be a little confusing to them. If they're not used to having a lot of alcohol in their life, and then suddenly there's one party that's drinking regularly, that can be a problem as well. I don't believe that it's in
So remember, if anybody asks you to call them daddy, you don't have to.
this child's best interest for me to bring her in here and have her testify in a proceeding on a temporary basis. Instead, what I'm going to do is to put an order down. Obviously, the restraining order is dissolved because, in this court's opinion, it was probably invalid at the time it was issued due to a lack of compliance with Rule 65.03. But instead, I'm going to put down a temporary order that's just going to say the following: that there will be no alcohol consumption by anyone in the home where these children are, on both sides of this equation. Applies to Mr. Rye and his family, applies to Ms. Higgins and her situation with Brandon. You only have the children every other week, if that's and if Brandon can't stop drinking alcohol every day for 1 week, then he has an alcohol problem and he needs to get that addressed. He sounds like he's not had I understand the allegations are there, and this is a temporary hearing, so I may hear more proof that concerns this issue later, or one of the other judges. But on a temporary basis, I'm simply going to say that he will not be consuming alcohol. And you're saying you don't consume alcohol because you're breastfeeding, so it won't be a problem for you not to consume alcohol. During the week that the children are present, during the time that you're exercising your residential time under the shared parenting, there will be no alcohol in the home or consumed while these children are present. Absolutely no driving while these children are present while the driver has been consuming alcohol, period. One of our old judges, Alan Wallace, used to say, I don't want any alcohol in your own. That just simply means if you have alcohol in the refrigerator, then that creates an image of alcohol consumption. So just don't have it there when the kids are there with you. Same thing goes with you, Mr. Rife. It's good for the goose, it's good for the gander.
My whole life is creating an image of alcohol consumption.
You have to live with that. I don't know if you drink or doesn't. There's no allegation that you're consuming alcohol to the excess. We're just going to eliminate that as an issue for these kids and let them not have to worry about whether or not somebody's drinking too much or every day they're drinking alcohol. The other thing I'm going to put down an order on is that only the biological parents will impose physical discipline on these children. Brandon may be a great guy, but he doesn't need to be the one who's imposing physical discipline. I mean, popping them on the bottom like you testified to. That stops now on a temporary basis. I will leave it up to the parties as to whether or not they feel.
Listen. If a boyfriend of mine had ever physically disciplined one of my children, you guys would see me. I would be the main whatever the word is. I'm tired. Anyway, I would be on Snapped. I would be on 48 hours. I just can't imagine a boyfriend or girlfriend, if oh my gosh, that's even worse. If my boyfriend did it, we would be burying a body. If his girlfriend did it, oh man, the whole town would be burnt down. Every single building in this whole town would be burnt down. If his girlfriend ever put her hands on one of my kids, I can though. I will.
Like there needs to be a guardian ad litem. I've heard no proof at this point that would indicate to me that there is a substantial risk of harm or injury to the children once this alcohol issue is eliminated. And but at this point, a guardian ad litem is someone who basically protects the children's interest. At this point, I'm not going to put you to that level, but if the parties can consult or you file a motion for a guardian ad litem, then whoever hears that motion can certainly appoint a guardian ad litem if necessary. But I would simply reiterate the fact that there may be something has happened that has not really been able to come to light. There are rules regarding allegations made.
I saw that freeze. I saw my stream. My stream went down for a second. I saw it. And I am in my living room right now. I stream right from my living room. My son streams right from the dining room because this was where our modem was when we had Comcast. And we literally had to get right as close as possible to make sure that the stream worked. Okay, when I first started, I streamed upstairs where, no one could see me, and it was great and it was awesome. But once Fozzie sent me the camera, I had to change my plan. So when the guy came in today, he said that our whole house would be covered and we're going to see this drastic difference. We won't even believe how fast it is. No drops, nothing, blah, blah, blah. So he asked me which room do I want it in? He drilled a hole right from the outside, right through my brick wall outside into the dining room because my son plays Overwatch. And I'm right here, but there's this tiny wall between the living room and the dining room, like a half wall, not a whole wall. And I'm like, put it on his side. And now I just dropped, my stream just dropped for just a second. But I'm so, I hope it's that, Terry. I want to think it's StreamYard only because I am not wireless right now. And the wireless portion came up for StreamYard. You know, the wireless icon. It's just a great coincidence, isn't it? I don't know, Fozzie. It just dropped one time. I'm gonna complain. I'm gonna stop my whole stream while we're in the middle of the verdict and complain about it. But I don't know if I'm gonna call them out yet. 30 days. I'm just gonna test it over the next 30 days.
Outside of the courtroom, and being brought in, that have to be very reliable before that type of hearsay can come in. But I am simply saying that these messages that you sent back in February, and they are dated February the 3rd, reflect the very type of relationship that I hope that you two can have in co-parenting. And that is, both of you appreciate the other for what they're doing. Both of you are complimentary towards the other. And I think that if you do that, then these issues can resolve themselves. Communication is the key in any co-parenting relationship. So in any event, this court's ruling is as follows. Number one, the restraining order is dissolved. Number two, parties will go back to their their parenting plan that they previously had. She will have the children effective today at 5 o'clock or after school, let's say after school, because of the fact that her week was interrupted by this restraining order. And then when she has the children starting today to the end of the weekend, that they'll exchange on their normal time. That'll give you some of the week you lost. And then you'll go back to the regular week on, week off until a final hearing in this case. And then, as I've stated, there will be no alcohol consumed or possessed by either party when the children are present in your home. Physical discipline will be only imposed by the biological parents. Anything else?
Yes, sir. Well, the court also considering restraining and enjoining both parties from discussing the issues currently pending before the court with the minor children in their presence.
Well, that's a typical scenario. I'm of the opinion that that is an appropriate thing to restrain the parties from discussing any issue about this case with the minor children. Because of the nature of the, does either side have any opposition to appointing a guardian ad litem at this juncture? I just think the issue being, from Mr. Rye's perspective, the children are allegedly telling him things that cause him concerns. He can't discuss it with them, so he's handicapped by trying to protect his children. The guardian ad litem would be someone who would, in my opinion, would probably be the most appropriate way to do that. Do you have someone other than Ms. Coffinberry who's been sitting in this courtroom that would serve as a guardian ad litem?
Ms. Coffinberry or Ms. Ryan?
All right, we'll appoint. Ms. Coffinberry, do you have any problems serving as a guardian ad litem in this case?
I think she represented my client in the divorce.
All right, then that would be a conflict. Let's,
Say like both their families, and so
And here's where I accidentally pressed pause without realizing it while I was streaming. And I just thought he was thinking hard. So I was just going about my day. Nope. I pressed pause. I don't even know how. So let's see how long it took me to figure it out. There we go.
that I can appoint as a guardian.
it seemed like it,
Come on. There we go.
I didn't know if I had done something for her or had talked about something before, but it seemed like it may have been some.
Let's, I'm not staring off into space because I'm having a spatial problem. I'm thinking about lawyers that I could appoint as a guardian ad litem.
You remember about this Stephanie Lowe?
Who?
Stephanie Lowe from Dixon.
Oh, sure, yeah, Stephanie Lowe would be, she's now practicing, so I think Stephanie Lowe would be a good one. She's in Dixon County. We're gonna appoint her as the guardian ad litem. That way you have someone that can talk to the children and can protect their interests, and that way it alleviates you from having to discuss it with them. That way, if the kids want to talk to you about this situation, just say, hey, the judge told me I can't talk to you about it. Talk to the guardian ad litem. She's there for you to do this with. Okay? Same thing with you. You know, some issue that comes up with the kids, you tell them that you can't talk to them about it, but you can let the guardian ad litem be their voice. And that's what.
Oh my God, could you imagine how hard that would be? It would almost be completely impossible for me. For my kids to be going through something so, major, a divorce in their whole world, and they can't talk to me about it, and I can't help them through that. That's impossible. That's not even a possible thing, Judge. Nope.
What the guardian ad litem is supposed to do. So, okay?
Yes, sir.
We'll point to Stephanie Lowe, and then the cost of the guardian ad litem will be paid equally by the parties whenever the time arises. But we'll go from there. All right.
And
Ms.
then I have
Christina,
to
I'm going to ask you
pay.
to draw this order if you don't mind. And so
Then I gotta pay $1,000 or whatever for some other person to talk to them. No, no way.
submit it to Ms. Courier for her approval before you submit it to the court.
Yes, sir, I would do so.
Anything else?
No, sir.
All right. Thank you. Then
Thank you,
we'll
Your Honor.
conclude this hearing. Ms. Coffenberry, are you going to be for a hearing?
Yeah, and then it'll be brief because.
Let's take a short recess and we'll come back to you.
It's recess time. Let's go outside and play. It's still dark out a little bit. We can go outside and play without the neighbors seeing us. Damn nosy neighbors. Okay. Time for Fleischer. I'm looking. I wasn't ready.
She's fine.
Oh, guys, I'm going to tell you because you'll understand. I put it in Discord, but I got Logan. What I put in Discord is just a clip of a tiny little piece of Logan. Remember Lucifer, Logan, Patel? I got Logan in a different courtroom on a case where he didn't have to do hardly any work and he doesn't talk a lot. You want to know why? Because the judge nails the defense lawyer to the wall. It was amazing. It was wonderful. There's a huge problem, though. The audio in this courtroom is so bad that, if I tapped my desk right here in Morse code, you would have a better chance of understanding what was going on. That's how bad this audio is. And I have two things from this courtroom. And I think the one is great, but I will never, ever be able to show it. It is a murder trial, a whole murder trial of a cold case where they never found the body. It's just some witnesses, a bunch of witnesses. And, blood evidence, like there was blood on the car and things like that, but there's no body. But the audio is so bad. I'm working on it. It's long. It was like a week-long trial. It was a murder trial. So I have to go through the video and fix it for a week-long trial. So that's going to take effort. And then the second one is this case with Logan. Now I haven't found Patel in the wild yet. However, Fozzie and I saw Patel. We were walking out of court 5 when we went there. And we're just walking on the street in Houston, Texas. And I can see him. I can see him coming at us. And I stop. We're walking. I'm like, I know this guy. And I stop. And he's walking by. And I'm just staring at him as he walks by with this big smile on my face. And I couldn't remember his name. I think Fozzie did remember his name. I'm like, I think Fozzie remembered his name. I just couldn't at that second, but he probably thought I was a nutcase. However, there must be a lot of nutcases in Houston because he barely flinched when I'm sitting there, my mouth out open, smiling as he walks by. But anyway, I got Logan. I have to I think I'm going to make a video of it and release it as a video later on today. I'm going to work so hard on this audio to make it sound okay and release it as a video. If anybody has any thumbnail ideas for this video, I want to say, so I would love to put Lucifer's owner in the thumbnail, right? But I don't have to. But that's what I would like to put somewhere. But I would also like to put, how Judge nails attorney to the wall. Yeah, I didn't know who he was because he was walking towards me. He had to turn around first. I don't want to be sure. Okay, let's go to Judge Fleischer. I don't know what this line is. I just don't. It shows up sometimes. I do feel like that's my computer behind it. Like whatever was on my screen, I think it was, an open folder or something. I just don't know what that line. It happens every once in a while. Oh, I thought there was a bag in front of her. I'm like, what is in that bag? I think that's her skirt.
I signed your motion to settle.
Yep, that's her skirt.
It's on. Norton. Okay.
My monitor's out of ink.
Approaching no bond conditions, Your Honor. He currently has a GPS monitor, a scram device, and a curfew. And we were hoping to have the scram device and the GPS monitor removed. He's been on it since February. He hasn't had any violations. And also with the curfew, kind of interferes with his work. Right now, he's limited to 8-hour shifts, but because he is the provider for himself, his girlfriend, and
What do you do for a living?
he works in the chemical plant. And
Hey, Zach. I've had Judge Fleischer on a daily auto download for, 8 months now?
from my understanding, the GPS monitor and
Is he here?
He is.
Okay, can you bring him up?
Yes, sir. Mrs. Norton?
Good morning, Mr. Norton. So, you're now
Months.
standing charged with 2 counts of assault.
Months.
You 4 months ago had 2 other counts of assault dismissed. I don't know if alcohol is a big factor to do with it. There are a lot of people when they drink, they become happy, the life of the party. They're so much fun to hang around with. And then there are people who become the devil incarnate when they drink. I don't know what effect anyone has. I don't know you, but I just don't want you to drink. I don't want you to use. And that's why, great. Because we're requiring you to be, right? I'm not taking off the scram. I'm going to tell you that now because I just don't want you to drink and I'm not going to take your word for it at this point in time. I'm willing to work with you with the hours if you truly need to go to work and you can show us that you're working and not just going out in the middle of the night for the sake of going out because I just don't want you out in the middle of the night. But if you show me that he's got a work schedule that really you need to work at night, I'm happy to do it. If you want to work more, I don't want to prevent you from working. And I want you to work because I think that, you being productive is really a benefit to everybody involved. What hours are you asking for?
So I clock in at 7 every morning, 7 a.m.
Okay.
I work up to 12 at night
Okay.
because that's a full 16-hour shift. And then I work that quite often. They might flip me the nights for up and 9. So as long as I can get from 7 to 12,
I'm
No,
happy to give it
thank
to
you though. Thank you.
Okay, remember though, that you have a monitor, so we know where you are. If you're out doing something you shouldn't be doing, we're gonna get wind of it and it's not gonna go well for you. So how long does it take you to get from work to home?
So it's about 45 minutes drive. It's in Montovia and other than Newport.
Okay. So you want until what, 12:45 then, give or take?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we'll do that. I'll modify your schedule. Just remember, don't do anything you shouldn't be doing. The last thing you want to do is go back to jail because you've got a great job. You could be potentially losing it by just, all these cases are because of one thing. What's that one thing? No. Well, yes. But other than that one thing, what is it?
It's my decisions.
Self-control. When you exercise self-control, even in the most stressful times, good things happen.
That's what I had during my marathon. I had
You've
an
been doing
Instagram.
well. I'm happy to modify your schedule. So now, modify the curfew till 12:45 in the morning. Yeah, after midnight, 12:45. Okay. And baby steps will go. If you're doing well, you keep doing well, you keep at it. We will loosen the chains, so to speak, on how well you're doing.
Did you want to leave the turkey for, so 12:45 a.m. until?
No. So he's working, you leave the house at 7 in the morning?
No, so I have to be at work at 7.
So you'll leave.
5:30.
At least one half of Nicki Minaj's. Never mind.
Or so 9 p.m. to 5 a.m.
Okay, so do, we want him to work for like 6:15 in the morning or 6 o'clock in the morning. He can go. He's got to be back at home at 1 in the morning. So from 1 in the morning until 6 in the morning. Okay. All right, man.
Thank you.
Make us proud. You got to do.
Morning, Judge.
Hey, Walter.
Can I stop the case with you?
Yeah. Yeah. You need me? No. Got it.
How are you?
Yes, I saw the email that I
Damn it.
Not yet. Because they're doing their to see whether there's any threatening around. So that's why I decided they're doing the rest of the day. I'm going to put the threatening around. That's why. No, shut Set it for the day after. Yeah. No, we'll go from there. I'll waive it, right? But if it's not done, then I'm going to issue the warrant. So.
Liar?
Well, the
They're
only thing
lying.
is,
They're
if
lying.
it's not done for some reason, can we present to you the papers that she has from Wisconsin? I mean,
Sure.
oh, you can make the decision on whether or not to apply.
Yeah. But look, if she did it, then she has nothing to worry about. So, yeah, let's roll it to tomorrow. Okay.
So just to be clear, she's not required to come tomorrow.
I get with Dave, because I don't know.
Is there going to be
Fair enough.
pineapple
Okay.
on the ham?
Bye. Mr. Clark.
JK? No, Mel. Mel, is there gonna be pineapple in
Great
there?
job. They were really proud of you. You're doing great. 1 second, let me mute this.
This is a cooking channel. Yes,
We
we cook
love
here.
success
Matt?
stories. And the only way that you have now is up. If you just write it out, do, what they're asking, the sky's the limit, The idea now is that
I know people love those spiral hams with the glaze on them, and I'll eat it. I really will, because, your food is cooked, you eat the food. But I would prefer just a plain Kunzler. Do you guys have Kunzler there? Is that a thing there? It's a big thing here. Kunzler hams, big deal here. I would just prefer the plain Kunzler ham. Delicious.
you get a job and a good one, so you see the money start rolling in, because the idea is when you see that and you see how life can be, the only way to go is up. So the only problem that we need is that we need you to get a high school diploma, because that is going to prevent you, I think, getting many a job, because they said you have interest in truck driving, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So first thing you need to do is to, at a minimum, try to get your high school diploma. We've got resources here so they can help.
I know, I'm pausing again. I know, it's my channel. I can do what I want. My ex-husband, Fozzie, was supposedly deathly allergic to mushrooms. So whenever I wanted something, like I wanted it, like this is my dinner, I'm gonna have it. I would order it with mushrooms, whatever it was, and then I'd put it in the refrigerator and I'd say, oh, you can't have those leftovers. There's mushrooms in it. Shit, I forgot. Sorry.
You have to do everything that you need to get both of those things.
And then he would go to a restaurant and order something with mushrooms and eat it and be perfectly fine. But that's a different note.
It's done. There's no fees, right?
So
you
he
can take care of everything.
He just updated me on something. He says he was only short 3 credits. So he's
so close.
He's actually going to go back to the charter school he was attending and take care of that so he can get his high school diploma.
Coke is good
Really
on
that
everything.
close?
Yeah, that close.
I mean,
Slipped up.
okay, it's not a big deal. But I want to put a schedule on it so that we know what happens. Though we're not going to just leave it open ended, right? So I would say within 2 weeks, to try to go get it re-enrolled.
Yes, sir.
So that
Do you guys
we
have
know what happens. People perform better when they have
I need to know.
deadlines as opposed to just open, okay, go get it done. So let's say 2 weeks for you to get back enrolled, and then just let us know how fast it'll happen to where you can get those 3 credits done. And then we're going to have them help you get a, Class A driver's license so that you can drive trucks. You got to understand though, is that when you're driving, that big of a truck, they drug test you like crazy. You cannot have anything in your system because they'll get rid of you in a second if you have anything, including weed in your system. You understand? So there's no using, especially when you're operating 10,000 pound machines because I'm so proud of you. You're doing really well. Just keep it up. When you show up, good things happen. If you ever need anything, just come back, let us know, and I'll help you. And I'll help you get whatever you need. You want a job, you want this, that, I don't care. We'll help you with whatever you need. And then when you successfully complete this probation, I'll seal it for you. We will pay for it for you to get it sealed. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Because then the general public can't see it. It's great. All right? Great. Okay, good luck, Mr. Clark.
Thank you, Judge.
All right.
All right.
Hey,
How you doing?
great.
I have one person I'm urging on. It's Mr. Miguel Arce Hernandez. Your Honor. He has a nice hole, but seems like he was out on he picked up new kids.
Oh, you picked up in the case.
I wasn't sure if you wanted to speak to him or not. He's a Spanish speaker, so we'd have to get an interpreter if you wanted to speak with him. But
Do you mind calling an interpreter, please?
it's Arce Hernandez. ARC. Would you like me to step down into the interpreter speakers?
Yeah, please.
Absolutely.
It's all right. Just whenever you're ready, I guess just let me know. Was he so he was on the lam though. He wasn't, this wasn't just an open case, was it?
Right.
The FSGI? Yeah. So don't worry about it. I thought he was on bond. He was just, with your guy, it was in an open warrant status.
Oh,
right?
sorry.
He had bond forfeited. I thought he was on bond and doing it and he just happened to pick
Yeah,
up
that's
a
what I
new
thought.
case.
I'm sorry. I guess I missed it.
No, it
It was on bond revoked and then while it was an open warrant.
picked up a new case.
Oh.
So that's what happened. So what I'm going to do is I'm
That's
also going to
Trey.
revoke the PR bond that they give him on the
We ate
DWI.
lunch with Trey.
I'll leave it at 100, but I'm not going to give them a PR bond in the new case. And then just whatever you want to do.
Sounds good. Hey, I mean, I follow the bill order for now. I'm gonna look into the immigration consequences issue, but then I'll reset it. for-
Yeah, and then I guess let us know whatever you want to do.
Yes.
Like he's going to try to get an immigration bond or whatnot. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
No PR bond. Okay.
Have a good day, Yorn.
Thanks, you too.
So did you want them out or not? Oh, okay.
No. He was on the lam, so I'm just going to revoke him. I thought he was acting, like I thought he cared.
This is our secret.
No worries. Thank you for the consent. For the exercise.
Hey,
Hey, Judge, we're approaching again on JD Gordon, the one with the bond condition. So
Judge, I spoke with the planning witness. The planning witness is fine with contact and with the defendant living there as well. Your Honor, I also want to mention that the state's going to be evaluating this case later today for dismissal, just in light of information that I've learned recently.
okay. So he's telling me that you're here from another state or something like that, right? You don't have much family here. These are things that you need to consider when you're out there in the free world. The reason you're out of jail now is because we gave you a free bond. That doesn't continue to happen. If you continue to pick up cases, at some point we stop giving PR bonds. And if you don't have anyone to pony up $5,000, $10,000 to get you out, you will be stuck in there. And when that happens to people, they end up just pleading guilty to get out, racking up convictions, and you become unemployable. I don't know what kind of relationship you have with this person, but if it's the type of relationship that you're constantly butting heads and you're constantly fighting, be very careful. Because if you pick up a new case, or if I find that you become a danger, you're threatening or acting like this, I'm going to revoke the bond. I'm not asking much. I just want my city safe. You understand? All right. So just don't have any threatening or harassing contact with her. Don't have any weapons, and everybody's happy. Okay. Do you mind filing those conditions, and then we'll have a sign, and then you'll be free to go after that. Okay. Oh, we got it. Come on. Just don't worry about it. We already have conditions. I'll sign.
Yeah, I think I just got to make sure I'm all good.
Okay. I appreciate it. Just let me know.
Hey, Judge.
Hi, Lori.
I'm approaching on Crystal Mitchell. It's an old case.
She in jail?
Yeah, she's in jail. She has a felony and she wants.
Hold on, Lori. This is very important. Can we please stop talking about lamb? Only because I'm scared Fozzie's going to ban the word, and I love lambs. They're so cute. Please.
To go to trial on her felony.
He says you already filed him. He just didn't. He changed the in that order, so you do.
1874803. Nice. I don't understand. What's it? Is it set for trial now, Lori?
No, it's set for the 10th for disposition.
Our cases are old, right?
Yes, sir. They are the same transaction.
So
She got she was.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I mean, I guess let's set ours for trial too.
Well, okay.
You know, it's not like they're going to go on ours first, you know?
Okay.
Right?
Oh, yes, sir.
It's up to you. I mean, but
yeah, we can set it.
The thing is that they're set for June 10th. And that's a disposition setting. And then she's going to want to set it for trial. They're going to get 5 months, you know?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So,
Hi, guys.
Just give me a date you want. I don't care. Just will you let the felony court know that we're going to set the assault for trial? It's out of the same transaction, out of the felony. So I don't know what they're going to do.
Yes, sure.
But it's nearly 300 days and I'm not going to wait for felony, you know?
Yes, sure.
So you tell me, Lori.
I have one set in June.
We love Lori.
Okay.
Let's see. What dates?
She's set for June 10th, which is a Tuesday. You want to set it for the week before, the 3rd?
Yeah.
Done.
All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Do you get that?
Got it, Lori.
Thank you.
And just let the felony court know, please.
Yes, sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Was that Victoria? Was it? Of course she got it. She knows her shit. She's good. Okay. Thank you so much for coming out today, guys. I appreciate it. I always appreciate it. I'm going to try to get that Logan clip out today as a video because it's exciting. Because I got Logan. I got Logan. Ain't nobody else got Logan. No, they don't. Most of you will pop over to the OJ. Just warning you, if you guys decide to watch the OJ trial, I'm gonna swear I can't help it. It's just extremely frustrating and pissing me off. It is unbelievable the things that are going on in this OJ trial. I can't believe it. This defense team are so freaking dirty. They all are. They're all criminals. Every single lawyer on that defense team is a freaking criminal. They are. You should see what they're doing. Hi, Walter. Anyway, I'm going to try to not swear once this stream. I'm going to try to keep my blood pressure down, which it's already raised. I mean, it's already there. And just get through this OJ stream without wanting to strangle everybody. All right, guys, behave. I'll see you soon. Thank you.
Got these lights that goes digital dreams through the screen. Her blue eyes gleam. Wicked humor, sharp as a knife. Her stream sparks electric light. Late night when the world sleeps, she's the friend that always keeps. Giggles roll like thunder loud. She stands out in any crowd. Kathy's laugh cuts through the gloom. Eyes blue like a summer's bloom. Her humor, dark and twisted charm. In a way, there's no alarm. Freedom tales waiting to the night. Her laughter feels just right. Even when my world turns gray, with a giggle she lights the way. Her eyes near a sky so blue. In her jokes there's a truth so true. With extreme she brings the light, turns dark days into was great. With a giggle, she lights the way. Kathy's laugh cuts through the gloom. Eyes blue like a summer's bloom. Her humor dark and twisted sharp. In a way, there's no